Imagine waking up every day with an unshakable sense of purpose, feeling completely aligned with your true nature. Think about what it would mean to live as the person you were born to be, without hesitation, without fear, without the weight of expectations holding you back. What if the key to your transformation has always been within you, waiting for you to claim it? And what if I told you that by the end of this journey, you will discover a truth so profound that it might completely change the way you see yourself and your life? Today, we will explore the powerful ideas of Friedrich Nietzsche, a philosopher who dared to challenge the norms of society and encourage people to become their highest selves. Nietzsche believed that most people never reach their full potential because they remain trapped in a cycle of conformity, comfort, and self-doubt. He argued that true greatness is reserved for those who have the courage to break free, to embrace struggle, and to create their own meaning. But here's the real challenge. Very few are willing to take this path because it demands something most people fear: discomfort. From the moment we are born, we are given a script to follow. Society tells us who we should be, what we should value, and how we should behave. We are rewarded for fitting in, for following the rules, for becoming a version of ourselves that is acceptable to others. But Nietzsche saw this as a dangerous trap. He warned that the cost of conformity is the loss of one's individuality. He believed that those who never challenge the expectations placed upon them are doomed to live as mere shadows of who they could have been. Have you ever felt that deep inside you, there is a version of yourself that is stronger, wiser, and more powerful than the one you present to the world? This is not just imagination. Nietzsche believed that within every person lies an untapped potential, a force that, if awakened, could lead to a life of true fulfillment. He called this concept the Übermensch, or the overman, not as a superior being over others, but as an individual who has transcended their limitations and become the fullest expression of themselves. But here is the uncomfortable truth. This transformation does not happen through ease or comfort. Nietzsche argued that suffering is not something to be avoided, but embraced. He saw struggle as a necessary force that shapes and strengthens the individual. "What does not kill me makes me stronger," he famously said. And this is more than just a motivational phrase. It is a fundamental truth about growth. Think about the most challenging moments in your life. The failures, the losses, the disappointments. Were those experiences meant to destroy you? Or were they opportunities for you to rise above your circumstances and become something greater? Nietzsche believed that hardship is a test, a crucible that reveals the depth of our character. Those who seek only comfort remain weak, while those who face adversity with courage emerge transformed. But there is something even more radical in Nietzsche's philosophy: the idea that meaning is not something given to us, but something we must create. Many people spend their lives searching for purpose, looking for external signs to tell them what they are meant to do. Nietzsche rejected this idea completely. He believed that life has no inherent meaning, only the meaning we choose to give it. This is both terrifying and liberating. It means that there is no destiny waiting for you, no pre-written fate. You are the author of your own story. So, where do you begin? The first step is to ask yourself a difficult question. Are you truly living as yourself, or are you merely playing a role that was assigned to you? Nietzsche spoke of the herd mentality, the tendency of people to follow the crowd without questioning where they are going. The herd offers safety, predictability, and a sense of belonging, but it also demands conformity, and in doing so, it stifles individuality. If you want to become who you were meant to be, you must be willing to separate yourself from the herd. This does not mean rejecting society entirely. It means thinking critically about the values you have been given and deciding for yourself which ones truly resonate with you. It means having the courage to stand alone when necessary, to follow your own path even when it goes against what others expect of you. It means embracing the discomfort of uncertainty, because only through uncertainty can real growth occur. And here is where most people falter. They desire change, but they fear what it requires. Nietzsche was clear: transformation demands destruction. You must be willing to let go of old identities, outdated beliefs, and limiting fears. You must be willing to step into the unknown, to risk failure, to endure hardship, because it is only by passing through these trials that you can emerge as something greater than you were before. At this point, you might be wondering, what practical steps can you take to start this journey? How do you begin to break free from the expectations that have shaped you? How can you turn struggle into strength doubt into confidence, and hesitation into action. This is just the beginning. What comes next will challenge you in ways you may have never imagined. To break free from the limitations that have been imposed upon you, the first thing you must do is cultivate self-awareness. Nietzsche believed that most people never truly know themselves because they are too busy living according to the expectations of others. They adopt beliefs, desires, and ambitions that are not truly their own. And so they remain trapped in an illusion, mistaking social conditioning for personal identity. But who are you beneath all of that? If you stripped away the influence of your upbringing, your culture, and the opinions of those around you, what would remain? This is the question you must ask yourself, and it is not an easy one to answer. It requires deep reflection and the willingness to face uncomfortable truths. Because when you begin this process, you may realize that much of what you thought was you was actually a mask you were taught to wear. Nietzsche believed that this kind of self-examination is the foundation of personal power. He argued that only by understanding yourself at the deepest level can you begin to shape your life according to your own desires rather than the expectations of others. But self-awareness is not enough. Once you recognize the ways in which you have been shaped by external forces, you must take action to break free from them. One of the most powerful ways to do this is through what Nietzsche called self-overcoming. This means constantly challenging yourself to rise above your limitations, to push beyond your fears, and to evolve into a stronger, wiser, and more capable version of yourself. It is a lifelong process, one that demands discipline, courage, and an unrelenting commitment to growth. But self-overcoming is not just about achievement, it is about transformation. Nietzsche believed that those who do not strive for personal evolution remain stagnant, trapped in cycles of mediocrity and dissatisfaction. They become resentful, blaming the world for their unfulfilled lives, instead of taking responsibility for their own growth. This is why he spoke so harshly against victimhood. He saw it as a form of self-imprisonment, a way of surrendering power instead of claiming it. The truth is, no one is coming to save you. There is no external force that will suddenly make your life meaningful. Nietzsche rejected the idea that we should wait for salvation, whether from society, religion, or fate. He insisted that if life is to have meaning, it must come from within. You must be the one to give it purpose. You must be the one to create significance out of your experiences, to turn pain into wisdom, to transform obstacles into opportunities. But this requires something that most people avoid: suffering. Nietzsche did not romanticize suffering, but he understood its necessity. He believed that greatness is forged through hardship, that true strength comes not from avoiding struggle, but from embracing it. This is why he warned against the dangers of excessive comfort. He saw comfort as a silent killer, something that weakens the spirit and dulls the will. He believed that those who seek only pleasure and ease will never achieve anything of real significance. This is not an easy truth to accept. Modern society conditions us to avoid pain at all costs. We are taught to seek instant gratification, to numb discomfort with distractions, to escape rather than confront. But Nietzsche argued that this avoidance leads only to emptiness. He urged us to do the opposite, to lean into difficulty, to willingly walk into the fire of hardship, knowing that it is the only path to true transformation. Think about the moments in your life when you felt the most alive. Were they times of ease and comfort, or were they moments when you overcame something difficult, when you faced a challenge that forced you to grow? The moments that define us are rarely the ones where everything goes smoothly. They are the moments when we are tested, when we are forced to rise above what we thought we were capable of. This is why Nietzsche admired individuals who embraced struggle. He saw them as the true creators of meaning, the ones who refused to let life happen to them, but instead took control and shaped their own destiny. He called this approach to life amor fati, or the love of fate. It is the idea that instead of resisting the challenges life throws at us, we should embrace them fully, seeing them as necessary parts of our journey. But how do you do this in a practical sense? How do you stop resisting the difficulties of life and start using them as fuel for your own evolution? The answer lies in mindset. Nietzsche believed that the way we interpret our experiences determines our reality. Two people can go through the exact same hardship. One may see it as a tragedy, while the other sees it as an opportunity for growth. The difference is in how they choose to frame their struggle. If you want to become the person you were born to be, You must train yourself to see every challenge as a lesson, every setback as an opportunity, and every failure as a stepping stone toward greatness. This does not mean ignoring pain or pretending that suffering does not exist. It means acknowledging it, accepting it, and then using it as fuel to propel yourself forward. And here is where the real power lies. Once you begin to see struggle in this way, you become unstoppable. You no longer fear failure because you understand that every failure is simply a part of your evolution. You no longer resist hardship because you know it is shaping you into something greater. You stop waiting for external validation and instead focus on building an internal foundation so strong that nothing can shake it. But there is still more to uncover. What we have explored so far is only the foundation. In the next part, we will go even deeper into Nietzsche's philosophy, revealing the most powerful insight of all, the key that ties everything together and unlocks your full potential. To truly embrace Nietzsche's philosophy and become the person you were born to be, there is one final obstacle that must be confronted: fear. Fear is the invisible force that keeps people stuck in lives that do not fulfill them. It is the silent whisper that tells you to stay where you are, to avoid risk, to choose safety over growth. And yet, Nietzsche argued that fear is not something to be avoided, but something to be mastered. Fear exists to keep us within familiar boundaries, but those boundaries are often nothing more than illusions. They are the limits imposed by past experiences, by social conditioning, by the voices of others telling you what is and is not possible. If you allow these fears to dictate your choices, you will never break free from the constraints that hold you back. You will remain a prisoner to your own hesitation. Nietzsche urged people to do the very thing they feared most, not because fear disappears, but because courage is built through action. He saw fear as a test, a challenge that separates those who remain stagnant from those who rise above. The question is, what fear is holding you back right now? What is the one thing you know you need to do but have been avoiding? The moment you confront this, everything changes. But Nietzsche also warned against another trap, one that is even more deceptive than fear. He called it resentment. Resentment is the state of blaming others for your own lack of progress. It is the mindset of those who see themselves as victims rather than creators of their own destiny. It is the belief that the world owes them something, that their failures are the result of external forces rather than personal choices. Resentment is dangerous because it gives away your power. The moment you blame something outside yourself, your upbringing, your circumstances, other people, you lose control over your own transformation. Nietzsche had no patience for this mindset. He believed that the truly powerful individual does not waste time complaining about what is unfair. Instead, they take radical responsibility for their own life. They understand that while they may not control everything that happens to them, they always control how they respond. This idea is liberating, but it is also uncomfortable. It means that you can no longer make excuses. It means that every limitation you believe in is one that you have the power to break. And this is where Nietzsche's most radical idea comes into play, the concept of eternal recurrence. Imagine if you had to live this exact life over and over again for eternity. Every decision you have made, every moment of hesitation, every fear you have given into, what if you had to experience it all again, endlessly? This is the thought experiment Nietzsche proposed. He called it the eternal recurrence, and it was meant to force you to ask a powerful question. If you had to relive this life forever, would you be proud of the choices you're making? Most people, when confronted with this question, realize that they are living in a way they would not want to repeat. They are playing small, allowing fear to control them, waiting for something external to change instead of taking control. The purpose of this idea is not to suggest that eternal recurrence is real, but to make you aware of how you are living right now. If the idea of repeating this life forever fills you with regret, then something must change. And this is where Nietzsche's philosophy becomes truly transformative. It is not just about thinking differently, it is about acting differently. It is about making the bold decisions that you have been avoiding. It is about stepping into discomfort and embracing the unknown. It is about becoming the kind of person who, if faced with the idea of living their life over and over again, would not hesitate to say, yes, I would do it all again. But how do you get to that point? It starts with small daily acts of courage. It starts with making decisions based on who you want to become, rather than who you have been. It starts with taking risks, challenging yourself and refusing to let fear dictate your life. It starts with rewriting your internal narrative, shifting from a mindset of avoidance to a mindset of action. Nietzsche believed that the greatest tragedy is not failure, but a life lived in fear of failure. He saw hesitation as the enemy of greatness, and he understood that the cost of playing it safe is far higher than the cost of taking a risk. Because in the end, what you regret will not be the things you tried and failed at. It will be the things you never had the courage to attempt. At this point, you may feel a sense of urgency. You may realize that there are changes you need to make, fears you need to face, decisions you have been postponing. And that is a good thing, because now you are at a crossroads. You can choose to continue living as you have been, or you can step onto the path of transformation. But there is still one final piece of Nietzsche's philosophy that we have not yet explored. The most powerful idea of all, the one that, if fully embraced, will shift everything. In the final part, we will reveal the ultimate key to becoming the person you were born to be. Now we arrive at the most powerful idea of all, the concept that ties everything together and unlocks your full potential. This is Nietzsche's vision of the Übermensch, or the Overman. The Übermensch is not just an individual who has broken free from society's limitations. It is not just someone who has conquered fear, embraced struggle, and taken responsibility for their own destiny. The Übermensch is the highest form of human existence, someone who has transcended the ordinary and created their own values, their own purpose, their own meaning. Nietzsche saw most people as trapped in a cycle of conformity. They follow the rules set by others, they adopt beliefs without questioning them, and they live according to pre-existing moral systems rather than forging their own. But the Übermensch rejects this entirely. They do not passively accept the values handed down to them. They create their own. They decide what is meaningful. They define what is valuable. They carve their own path through life without waiting for permission. And this is where Nietzsche's philosophy takes its most radical turn. Because if you want to become the person you were born to be, you cannot rely on external guidance. You cannot wait for someone else to tell you what your purpose is. You must decide for yourself. This is difficult because it means embracing uncertainty. It means letting go of the comfort that comes with following an established path. But Nietzsche believed that this is the only way to truly live. To create your own values is to take ultimate responsibility for your existence. It means no longer blaming external forces for what your life has become. It means no longer waiting for meaning to be given to you, but instead creating it from within. The Übermensch is not concerned with approval. They are not trying to fit in or be accepted. They are entirely self-driven, guided by an internal compass rather than external validation. This is why they are free. Because when you stop looking to others for permission, when you stop seeking validation, you become untouchable. You become someone who cannot be controlled by fear, by rejection, or by societal expectations. But becoming the Übermensch is not a single moment. It is a process. It is a journey of continuous transformation, of relentless self-overcoming. Nietzsche did not believe in final destinations. He saw life as a constant state of becoming, where the only goal is to keep evolving, to keep rising above what you once were. And here is the most important realization of all. There is no external force stopping you from becoming this. The only thing that holds you back is yourself. The doubts, the fears, the excuses, these are the only real barriers. The moment you decide to let them go, the moment you commit to this path fully, everything changes. But commitment is key. Most people will hear this message and do nothing with it. They will feel inspired for a moment, but then they will return to their old habits, their old fears, their old patterns. If you want to be different, if you want to step into your power, you must act. So ask yourself, what is the first step? What is the one thing you can do today to begin this transformation? Maybe it is facing a fear you have been avoiding. Maybe it is making a decision you have been postponing. Maybe it is finally letting go of the excuses that have been keeping you stuck. Whatever it is, do not wait. Do not hesitate, because life is happening now. This moment right here is your opportunity to choose who you will become. Nietzsche did not write for the passive. He wrote for those who are ready to take control, to break free, to rise above. If you have made it this far, you are already on the path. You have already begun the process of transformation. Now the only question left is, will you continue? The answer to that question will define the rest of your life. Thanks for looking.